Paige Bueckers is the best shooting guard in the league. But you know what she needs now after that 44? Drug test, drug test, drug test.
Paige Bueckers wasn't just scoring buckets. She was making history, dropping a jaw-dropping 44 points in a single game. But here's the part that sent everyone's eyebrows flying off their faces. The game wasn't remembered for her insane skill alone. No, it turned into a firestorm of accusations, whispers of cheating, and the kind of controversy that makes you double-check if you accidentally switch the channel to a courtroom drama.
But what is making headlines and really scratching people's heads and turning people's heads, not Paige Bueckers' actual performance, but the way the opposing teams all season long has been allowing her to score at will.
She walked onto the court against the Sparks and turned the game into her personal highlight reel. Step backs, behind the back drives, fadeaways. It looked effortless, but people started asking, why was it so effortless? Wide open shots, defenders stuck in cement, lanes cleared out as if ushers were escorting her to the basket. Fans didn't see a lockdown defense. They saw a VIP pass. And here's where things get messy. It didn't take long before talk of a scandal erupted. Critics pointed out how defenders barely bothered to contest shots. Others questioned how a rookie could get so many uncontested looks in a professional game. This wasn't just about Paige being good. It was about the other team looking suspiciously bad.
Paige Bueckers is basically being propped upon to replace Caitlin. There's no doubt about it in my mind. This league would rather have Paige be the face of the league over Caitlin any day.
Almost as if something was off. Now, think about this. Caitlin Clark has been smothered with double and triple teams every time she touches the ball. Elbows in her ribs, bodies crashing into her. Real playoff level harassment. But Paige, she was floating through defenders like they were cardboard cutouts. The contrast was too glaring to ignore. The truth is, this wasn't just another night in the WNBA. This was the night the conversation shifted from celebrating a historic rookie performance to questioning whether the league itself was quietly playing favorites. Was Paige being protected? Was she being set up as the next poster star? Those were the questions hanging in the air, heavier than any defender on the court that night.
You can call me a Paige hater all you want, and I fully admit it. I fully admit it, but I stand by this. I am a Paige hater for good reason. But you know what? Paige Bueckers heard all the talk. She heard all the Paige isn't rookie of the year, Paige can't carry, Paige doesn't, Paige is just consistently losing. And by the way, they lost this game.
The stats alone were enough to raise suspicions. 17 shots made out of 21 attempts. That's over 80%. In professional basketball, those numbers are unheard of. Not even legends like Diana Taurasi or A'ja Wilson ever had defenses roll out the red carpet that way. But Paige, she was treated like royalty. Let's not pretend this was normal basketball. The defense looked more staged than competitive. Her defender was often trailing behind her, literally chasing her shadow instead of cutting her off. On one possession, Paige pulled up for a clean three-pointer with her defender jogging 2 steps behind her. That's not pressure, that's a free practice drill. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 plays. It happened the entire night. Wide open mid-range jumpers, uncontested layups, and drives straight to the basket where defenders might as well have been standing in line at concessions. When you see an entire team failing to contest, you have to wonder, was this just lazy defense or was it something bigger?
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, again, I think she's a hell of a player and would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her.
Here's where the conspiracy talk kicks in. Paige's performance didn't just feel like a breakout game, it felt orchestrated. Theories started to spread that the league wanted her to become the face of women's basketball, replacing Caitlin Clark, who had already carried her team to the playoffs under brutal pressure. Unlike Caitlin, Paige was walking into space so open it could fit a marching band. That's why fans weren't just celebrating, they were suspicious. Was this really Paige's unstoppable skill, or was she being set up for a storybook performance? If the WNBA wants a golden girl, giving her uncontested shots is the easiest way to build the illusion of dominance, and the Sparks' defense just so happened to play their role perfectly. Paige's night was being painted as legendary, but the reality left people scratching their heads.
But when it comes to conspiracies, I got a job to do, and my job is to expose the fake and expose the real. And the real of the matter is that Paige Bueckers is getting these open looks on purpose.
This wasn't just dominance, it looked choreographed. For every bucket she scored, there was a defender standing flat-footed or simply watching her glide by. At one point, Paige cut through the lane so cleanly that it felt as if traffic cones could have offered more resistance. And this is where the red flags really start piling up. Caitlin Clark has been hunted all year long, double teams, full court presses, and opponents collapsing on her the second she touches the ball. Yet Paige, in her rookie season, is given free space to pull off shots that even high school coaches would scream at their players to contest. The contrast isn't just noticeable, it's glaring. Some argue it's not Paige's fault, and that's true. She's undeniably talented. Her footwork is sharp, her jumper is clean, and she's confident under pressure. But when a performance this outrageous comes without defensive intensity, it undermines the integrity of the league itself. Fans expect competition, not scripted highlight reels. The truth nobody wants to admit is that Paige's game has all the markings of the league trying to control the narrative. Rookie of the Year conversation shifted instantly after this matchup, with Sonia Citron fading into the background. Suddenly, it wasn't just Paige's win, it was the league's victory in pushing her as the new star. The question now isn't about whether Paige is good, she is. The real question is whether the WNBA is bending the game to make her look untouchable.
Dropped 44 points, and we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
UConn special treatment. Look at this. Nobody touched her. What the bull dookie? Look at this. Nobody touched Paige. Becky Hammond can't believe it. What is this? It was the referee from half court calling it.
Because if that's the case, then the 44 points don't just represent a breakout performance. They represent a scandal that cuts to the heart of fairness in sports. The strangest part? The headlines weren't even celebrating the win. Paige's performance got top billing, but the whispers about defense optional basketball quickly overshadowed everything else. Reporters replayed her buckets and couldn't ignore how bizarrely easy they looked. No double teams, no traps, no rotations, just endless wide open looks. And here's the kicker. Paige's record-breaking night wasn't enough to carry her team into the postseason. 44 points, 80% shooting, and yet they still lost the bigger battle. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was dragging her squad into the playoffs through brutal defenses, taking hits every single night and still putting up numbers. It was a tale of two rookies, one fighting uphill, the other gliding downhill on a silver platter. This is where the conversation shifted from basketball to conspiracy. Paige's treatment looked too perfect, too polished, as if the league wanted her to succeed at all costs. Fans who had seen Caitlin's constant harassment on the court couldn't help but feel the games were being manipulated to crown a new darling of the league. Now let's be real about this. Paige's skills aren't in question, nobody doubts her ability, but when defenses stop playing defense, you have to call it what it is, suspicious. Because basketball without competition isn't basketball, it's theater. What really added fuel to the fire was the evidence piling up. Replays showed defenders literally jogging behind Paige while she set her feet and launched shots. In one clip, her defender trailed so far back it looked more like cardio than defense. In another, the paint was so open she could have driven a bus through it. And this is where suspicions turn into accusations. No professional defense collapses that consistently without reason. Lazy defense might explain a few plays, but not 44 points on 81% shooting. That kind of efficiency doesn't happen unless the defense simply stops competing. For fans invested in Caitlin Clark's rise, the optics were insulting. She spent her season hounded by double teams, physically battered, and still managed to deliver wins. Paige, on the other hand, looked like she was playing against cardboard cutouts. It made the Rookie of the Year race look less like a competition and more like a scripted storyline. So what does this mean for the league? It means credibility is at stake. If fans believe games are being manipulated to push certain players, the WNBA risks losing the trust it has fought so hard to build. Basketball is supposed to be about competition, but when defenders stand aside, the game looks fake. Paige's highlights were splashed everywhere. Clips of her fadeaways, up and unders, and mid-range jumpers flooded social media feeds. On the surface, it looked magical, but beneath the surface, analysts noticed the same detail repeating: zero defensive pressure. And that's when the conspiracy theories exploded. Was Paige being groomed to replace Caitlyn as the face of the WNBA? After all, the league benefits from a marketable, polished, media-ready star, and Paige checks all the boxes. She's talented, charismatic, and fits a safe narrative, so why not make sure she succeeds? But here's the irony. The more the league seemed to push Paige, the worse it looked. Because if her dominance is built on soft defenses, then her stats are inflated, and inflated numbers don't make legends, they make question marks. The uncomfortable truth is that this isn't just about one game. It's about what the league risks becoming. If fans start believing performances are manufactured, then the WNBA loses its integrity. Paige deserves to shine, but only if she earns it against real competition. Until then, every bucket she scores will come with an asterisk. Now, let's rewind to Caitlin Clark for a second. Every time she touched the ball, defenses swarmed. She had defenders glued to her hip the second she crossed half court. Traps came instantly, fouls were hard and frequent, and despite all of that, she carried her team to the postseason. That's the big contrast nobody can ignore. Caitlyn was tested by fire, while Paige was handed the torch. It's not just unfair, it's insulting to viewers who expect real competition. Paige's numbers look amazing, but context matters. 44 points under no pressure does not outweigh 30 under triple pressure. The league's eagerness to promote Paige risks overshadowing Caitlyn's grind, and that's where fans feel cheated. They're not upset that Paige is good, they're upset that the game doesn't look real when defenses step aside. And here's the dangerous part. The WNBA is building a narrative at the expense of its credibility. You can't fool fans forever. They notice the lack of defense. They notice the difference in treatment. And once suspicion takes root, it's hard to undo. In the end, Paige's 44-point game will be remembered for more than the points. It became a lightning rod for debates about fairness, favoritism, and the future of the WNBA. Was it pure brilliance or was it staged? Was Paige the next superstar or just the latest in a line of players the league tried to manufacture? Yours T. And this is the conclusion nobody wants to admit. Paige's talent is undeniable, but the way defenses treated her raises questions that won't go away. Until she proves herself against the same relentless pressure Caitlyn faced, every highlight will be viewed with suspicion. The WNBA must decide what it wants to be. A competitive league where stars are forged through real battles, or a scripted stage show where narratives matter more than defense. Because if it chooses the second option, it risks losing the one thing it can't buy back, the trust of its fans. So yes, Paige made history, but history without competition is hollow. If she truly demands justice, then the only way forward is simple. Face real defense, earn it, and silence the doubts. Anything less is just smoke and mirrors. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more deep dives into the biggest stories in basketball, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the channel. More stories, more drama, and all the facts the league doesn't want you to forget. Thank you.